Okay, guys, this is 30-Day Screenplay. This is the Terminator Reboot. I'm going to call this Season 1, I think. I think there's going to be multiple seasons, but 30-Day Screenplay, Terminator Reboot. This is day 16. Bit of good news on a personal note. I got a call from a director who wants to option one of my screenplays. It's a Terminator-esque movie. I told you I've been playing in this sandbox for a long time, and I think as those projects start to dribble and drabble and get director attachments and actor attachments and go out to Academy Award-winning screenwriter actresses to be read, it's like little bitty progress, little bitty movement. So take the time, smell the roses, pat yourself on the back, celebrate your little wins, because a lot of people don't have them, and it's tough times out there. But that's not what I want to talk about today. What I want to talk about today is the comments I got yesterday that just pissed me off. And that was the sort of who authorized you, who granted you this this right and this privilege, like who made you king of this mountain. And I don't think that matters. I think that what we talked about yesterday was the level of delusion required to think that you can do it, and then the ambition that it takes to set a goal and to circle that on the calendar and go out and say that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to write a Terminator movie, which I haven't been hired to do, and I'm going to create it for Steven Soderbergh, which is a director who doesn't know who I am. I think that that's sort of secondary, because the reason that you set out to create something as an artist, and each one of you has your own process, and I'd be curious to hear how other people do it, but the reason when you set out to create something is you kind of have an itch to tell a story, or a kind of story, or a story in a certain world. And for me, it comes from a place of trauma. I think that the world is involved in a psychological war right now. I think that might be engaged in the greatest battle for the future of humanity's soul. And I'm not going to label this with a political movement or say that it's this person or that person. But what we have done, what we have chosen to do, is as a society outsource our humanity to computer algorithms. And you could say that it's AI, but AI is a much more recent development. It's really the algorithm, starting 10 years ago, as soon as we taught the algorithm how to turn us into little slot machines where it's like carrot, 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 and our brain lights up. And as soon as we taught it how to program us, it's been programming us ever since. And it's been programming us with the parameters that it was told, which is maximum engagement, maximum revenue, maximum value extraction out of us and out of our attention. And that's kind of the world that we've created. And now what we're doing is we're empowering that to turn that over to artificial intelligences. Artificial intelligence, by the way, who are created on the same flawed system, the same flawed human behavior that we possess as a species. Like James Cameron says this, he says as much, he says, I don't have no problem with AI. Like, I'm not one of those pearl clutchers who's like, oh, AI is going to ruin Hollywood. I see it as a tool. I want to develop it as a tool. But what his issue with is AGI, which is artificial general intelligence, which is the outsourcing of our own humanity to a machine that's trained on the data and the algorithm. And I don't know how many of us are actually psychopaths. I don't know how many of us are actually like saying and doing the things on the internet that go around as being so shocking. Or how many of us are just being sort of amplified by a machine intelligence saying that this is what humans like. Humans like to feel a lot of big feelings. They like to feel rage. They like to feel irritation. They like to feel deeply disturbed. So here, put this in front of them. And, 40 million people in 3 days are going to be without their SNAP benefits. And if you're not familiar, SNAP benefits are food stamps and government assistance programs. And if you've ever grown up hungry, if you've ever had your hand smacked because you reached for the big piece of chicken, if you've ever gone to bed at night and you've been hungry, or you woke up in the morning and you knew the first hot meal you were going to have that day was the free little 5-punch lunch card, free lunch stamp system that you got because school was the first place that was going to feed you. That insecurity, that feeling of not knowing where your meal is coming from, that feeling of being hungry, like it's a very, very, very dark and ominous passenger. And I think the interesting thing is that the world of the Terminator lives in that world. I mean, there's no one in Kyle Reese's future world, the flash forwards, the perception of that horrible landscape. There's no one in that landscape who is food secure. I mean, kids are watching a burned out TV with fire flickering, and that's the light that shines on their faces. Like dogs are used as tools to keep Terminators from getting into the hive, into the cave, into the residence. This is a very, very, very dark world. I mean, Kyle, born of trauma, like maybe the nukes didn't happen, I think he was born after the nukes, but he grew up in that world of increasing scarcity and watched Terminators evolve to become more and more and more smart, sentient, capable killing machines, and grew up in a world where fighting and fighting prowess was the determining factor. Like, he had an ability to gauge it. Sarah asked, how was John? What was he like? And he was like, he was a good fighter. He was a good fighter. Like Kyle Reese's determination, his the quality, what's that word when you judge something by something? Like the capabilities that John had were known as a leader and a fighter. Like, that's, you can respect a person that can do that. And even that the girl who was his partner, driving in the car, and Kyle, this is a flashback. Kyle tosses his grenade in the giant hunter killer robot machine and ducks back down, and she goes to toss hers, and the laser swivels and blasts her, incinerates her. And he has this moment where he closes his eyes, and it's like true pain, tremendous pain, but also like he stows it. He just categorizes. He just puts it away. And like, I don't know if that was his girlfriend or his wife or just his partner, but like he respected her, and she was a good fighter, and he knew that she could do the job. And that's just the world he lives in. That's just the trauma he lives in. And I think that when you compare what he went through and what his version of results are, and then you put him back in our time, of course the police are going to think he's a total nut job. Of course Sarah is going to think that he's crazy. Of course all of his perceptions are askew because he lives and grew up and was born into and came of age in a world where that level of trauma was just part of life. That was just normal. And I see 40 million people going on SNAP benefits, and the number of people out there that are trying to make that normal, like, well, that's just how it is. Well, I wish we could do something, like hands in the air. Like, that's not normal. We don't have to accept that. We don't have to accept that we live in a world where people can go hungry. We don't have to accept where abundance isn't available to be shared and spread with people. Like, free power is falling out of the sky every single day. We have to just put something underneath it to collect it. Almost like manna from heaven being sent down to power the entire world. But like, that's not how the algorithm has been taught. That's not how the AGI has been trained. That's not how the systems have been set up. They've been set up to maximize the most amount of pain and revenue for the fewest number of people, to extract the most amount of value, to profit and benefit a very, very, very small group. And that's the world that we've set up. And so I take that level of childhood trauma, I take that level of grown experience, adult awareness, that observation that this is the world that we're co-creating with each other. This is the reality that we're coming into. And I'm saying, we don't have to accept it. We don't have to accept that predators are gonna pounce on the vulnerable. We don't have to accept that we're outsourcing our humanity. We don't have to accept the fact that an AI is going to just extract more and more and more and more and more until the commodification of our value to the system is nothing, and the system hunts us down and executes us one by one. Like, it cannot be more salient, the world of the Terminator. It cannot be more prescient. It cannot be more prophetic that these are the times that we're living in. We just have to extrapolate the T-800 story back from the rubber skin T-600, easier to spot version, and up from the sort of, Boston Dynamics robot that tumbles and falls over and can carry our groceries, and find that place in the middle where they start to look human, they start to act human, and they start to feel human, they start to do human things. But ultimately, the way that we've trained them, the way that we taught them, is to be incredibly predatory. I mean, Cameron says this himself. He says, I don't want to be pearl clutching about AI. I think AI is a tool that can help us, but AGI is kind of programmed on the worst of us. And when we give it our worst instincts and our worst, sort of programming, then we can't really be surprised. We can't even agree on what the guardrails are. We can't even agree on what the alignment theory is about what is important and what it should be used for. And I think maybe, watching what we're doing in the effort to normalize this, my mind goes to, you make a Terminator movie and you set it in one house between two people, and you take this thing that's happening in the world right now and you put it into that movie in a genre experience. Now, this isn't like a stage play about a hypothetical conversation between a scientist and a would-be. No, this is a horror film. It's like little bit dirty and a little bit sexy and a little bit gross and a little bit whatever. And it's like a soup of that stuff. And you give people an experience they want, but you use IP, you use cinema, you use the language of that visual grammar to do it. And I got to tell you, if Hollywood doesn't do this, if we don't do this, if we don't start doing this, what we're going to find is we're just less and less and less and less and less relevant, because other people in other fields with other things will just start creating more truthful content, and those eyeballs will continue to keep drifting away and siphoning away and moving away. And at the end of the day, that idea that, like, some streaming executive was famous for saying, like, oh, we want to be second screen, we want to be that thing on in the background. Well, having a thing on in the background that's sort of noise while you're looking at your phone is expensive when it comes to $30 or $40 a month to have that. And you're going to find that people are going to say, well, I don't really think I need to have something on in the background. Like, I think I can just focus on the screen that I'm on, and I won't have the expense of running that thing in the background. So I think it's a real wake-up call. You know, Hollywood can... There's a billion creators in the world now, and Hollywood can continue to slide into irrelevance, or they can continue to find ways to make things that are about the conversation. But I get it. I get it. You spend $100, $150, $200 million making a thing. You spend another $150 to $250 million marketing a thing. You have a $500 million outlay, and that's not like on day one. That's over a course of 4 years. So you've got loans at the bank that you have responsibility to pay back for your shareholders. That thing has to make $790 million to break even after splits, and it has to make $1 billion to be profitable. And it's like, okay, don't do that with this. Make this small, make it focused, make it laser, make it smart. Don't spend so much money that it has to have all the edges round off to be the most possible conceivable entertainment for the largest number of people. Instead, take something that's very, very, very specific and focused and make it as such a small budget price point that probably people are going to find it. And if that's their jam, they're going to be into it. And I think that's what we're trying to do here. So when it comes to the me, when it comes to the why, when it comes to the now, when it comes to the reason for this, it's deeply, deeply, deeply personal. You can write your Terminator movie. You can watch every one of my videos. You can rip off all my best ideas, but you're not going to write the thing I'm going to write because I lived that experience and I'm putting that into the movie. And I feel really, really strongly about it. And at the end of the day, if that's the level of delusion that I need to wake up, to be able to create, to be able to write, to be able to start, to be able to find other people out there, someone out there right now is just as crazy as me, and they can't wait to read this screenplay. They cannot wait to be a part of this. They cannot wait to cast this and to finance this and to produce this. And the barriers are coming down. It's getting less and less and less expensive all the time for independent filmmakers to make their thing and take their shot. So what I would say is, take what works, leave what doesn't, but leave the you don't get the right to blah, 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 blah. I'm giving you the right. I bestow you with the right and the power and the responsibility to create your favorite IP. Start on your Batman movie. That stuff's going to be public domain in 6 years. In 7 years, that stuff's going to be in the public domain. Get your whole Batman lineup ready. Start your Joker movie. Start your spin-offs. Look at the Bob Kane stuff from 35 that goes into the public domain in the early 30s and ask yourself, what is my take on this? Start developing it. Start making it. Start getting it ready, because about the time that you've got a slate of that stuff ready and it goes into the public domain, I'm not talking about a Mickey slasher movie or a movie where, Winnie the Pooh kills them. I'm talking about a fully fleshed out studio-sized plan to capitalize on public domain IP that has a beloved feeling in the marketplace. Like, guys, the world needs it. The world needs truth. It needs reality. It needs a mirror. It needs Hollywood to start making things that matter and stop making things that don't say anything, because there's just too many people out there who are ready to shout from the rooftops, and they're not saying a damn thing.